Well, they say that GoPros are not very good in low light conditions, and I guess we're gonna find out how this turns out. It is the golden hour here in South Florida. We are experiencing some of the best last days of the season. Summer is around the corner, and it's gonna turn into what most people up north would consider winter, where it becomes so hot, so rainy, that it's actually torture just to go outside. So enjoying the last couple of days of 10 weather down here, but we are, as I've said, entering our winter here in Florida. Now, as the thumbnail does suggest, I have spent thousands of dollars on maintenance and repair for my CLS 550. It's been 2 years since my initial review. It's been 2 years since I put the Rentec tune on my car. Love the Rentec tune, still running strong. No problem with the engine. Of course, I don't wail on it. I drive it like a mature adult should, but sometimes like to have my fun too. So what we're gonna do is we're going to dive into the studio here, and we're going to break down what those costs were. But let me just put it to you this way. She ain't going nowhere. I love this daily driver, and I'm definitely sticking with it. That's all coming up right after this.
Awesome climb. You're up.
Hi, I'm Stefan, a 747 pilot here in the USA. With this channel, I'll be applying my technical knowledge to another passion of mine, automotives and the culture that surrounds it. For the next few minutes,
30,
sit down,
20,
settle in,
10,
and hang on. Our next stop is Cleveland Aeromotive. All right, welcome to my new digs, my man cave. I have relocated from West Palm Beach to East Palm Beach, but really the move was super easy, and I'm happy to be where I am now. But as you can see from behind me, this is my display case. Big into military history and military antiques. Those are World War I and World War II, American, French, and German helmets. Yes, you're seeing correctly, they are German helmets. But I've been collecting, gosh, for the last 22, 23 years. But I also like things like African masks and a lot of different cultural items. I got a big Chinese screen over there, an 8-panel gold and black Chinese screen, which maybe will make its way onto camera at some point. But enough of my new digs. Let's dig into the CLS 550s and the M278 engine. I wanted to cover a couple things first that weren't necessarily related to what I spent on any kind of repair or maintenance, but they are things that should be discussed nonetheless with our C218s. Engine bore scoring on early M278 engines. That is in specific reference to pre-March of 2015 production of the M278 engines. The engine bore scoring could be, it's not common. It's uncommon. It's not rare, but the lining of these cylinders were covered with a material called Silitec. And the Silitec has a very bad reaction to high quantities of fuel over an extended period of time. In fact, fuel can be corrosive to Silitec. And this problem has manifested itself across the engine spectrums from one automotive manufacturer to the other, including Porsche. So it's a well-known phenomena. However, it's not common on the M278 engine. Does it happen? Yes. And I would probably say if you drive your M278, your earlier M278 engine up to 250,000 miles, I would imagine it's got some engine scoring. However, there have been some reports of scoring in engines approaching 90,000 miles. So we've covered why this happens, and that's when a large amount of fuel is on the Silitec for long periods of time. And this tends to happen after you start the engine, after it runs up, does an engine run up, and after it idles. If you allow your M278 engine to continue to warm up in that time, all you're doing is you're exposing it to high levels of fuel, and the corrosion between the fuel and the Silitec is going to happen. Silitec's coming into it very soon. However, 3 tips if you've got an earlier M278 with the Silitec. The M278 is a start, idle, and go engine. That meaning do not allow the engine to continue to warm up after you've started it. There's no point. All you're doing is damage to the Silitec coating if you allow it to continue to warm up after that 30 to 45 second period. So here's where the Ceratec comes in. Liqui-Moly Ceratec. I've added Liqui-Moly Ceratec to my engine in order to help prevent this scoring from occurring. Just as it advertises, and a lot of videos have been made, it actually does reduce friction nominally, and it actually does prevent wear nominally, and it does actually improve performance nominally. I've noticed a nominal level of improvement on all three frontiers. However, this will coat your engine with, with protection to keep the fuel from corroding your Ceratec lining. Aside from that, so let me see here. There's a really good video on this. It's called M278 Oil Solenoid Mod. What it does, and should you do it? So the mod is to actually unplug a solenoid that is attached to every M278, and Mercedes was doing widely throughout this production period. That solenoid actually tells your oil pump to drop the normal bar from 4 bar to anywhere as low as 2 bar during RPMs of less than 2,000 RPM. And when you think about it, you have to wonder, well, what percentage of my driving is done below 2,000 RPM? And I would have to say easily 90% of it. So 90% of the time, this solenoid is actually commanding your oil pump to run at 2 bar. So this video tells about how you should detach that solenoid or unplug it. And then I've also put a link in the description down below to a MBWorld article that covers this entire, it's a very easy procedure. It will take your mom and pop mechanic shop 10 minutes to do. So the next time you go in for your oil change, I know I'm going to have this solenoid disconnected. Let's move on. So yeah, Mercedes-Benz switched to Nanoslide in March 16th of 2015 on the M278 engines. That doesn't mean that if you bought a late model or a late year production CLS 550 that you don't have one of these engines. As you know, of course, engines were first produced and then put into their different cars that they were manufacturing. Did it stretch into the 2016 model year? I don't know. However, you can check your engine. I'm putting the engine numbers, the actual serial numbers of the engines on the screen right now. If you're really curious, you can check the actual serial number according to the numbers that are on your screen right now, and you can tell if you have a Ceratec or a Nanoslide engine, which Nanoslide was the superior coating. Let's move on. All right, so over the last 12,000 miles or so, almost immediately after I got done filming my initial review of the car, I started to hear some curious clattering sounds, very light, very faint clattering sounds coming from my engine bay. And it's never loud. It can only be detected if you tell the passenger that's, hey, do you hear that? Do you hear that? And they're like, oh yeah, I hear that. So it's very subtle, but I was very curious as to what this clattering noise was because it's pretty constant. It's always quiet, but I watched a really good video done by this great YouTuber, M-Guy Australia. The video is called M278 Identifying and Fixing Rattles. He has noticed, like me, that the M278 is not necessarily a quiet engine. That's not because of the exhaust, it's what's under the hood. So he has, in his video, talks about 4 different things that can happen. One is a plastic cover on the ABC pump tends to clack as it turns on the ABC pump against another piece of engine particle or part, and it's a constant clack, 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 clack. That can be fixed by simply pulling that plastic cover off. It's mostly cosmetic, but it does act to some degree or another as a dust cover. So that's one. 2, turbo wastegate bearings. Now, M-Guy Australia has a S-Class, a 4-door S-Class with the M278 engine in it, and maybe it's a newer one, but I have not heard a whole lot about turbo wastegate problems at all with the M278 engine. If you've had problems similar to M-Guy Australia, leave a comment. I'm very curious as to how prolific this problem is, if it is at all. Turbo wastegate bearings. Now, I don't have this turbo wastegate bearing problem. Problem number 3, the timing chain tensioners, which I'd covered in my initial review almost 2 years ago now. Maybe it's actually almost over 2 years. Which, if you hear clattering from a 2012 or 2013 M278 or vehicle outfitted with an M278, don't walk, run to your dealer or to your Indy shop. You may have your timing chain tensioners loosening, and that can ultimately lead to a lot of upper head destruction of your engine. Now, we're going to come to my problem, and the problem that I was experiencing, it's probably not even a problem, but the sound that I was hearing was my valve timing variators, and they were over time slowly wearing, and apparently the tolerance of what holds them to the little, this is the right word for it, I guess, the ducts that let oil into the upper valve assembly, they start to wear, and as the valve assembly turns, the little nodes start to get a little loose, and you'll hear a little bit of a clatter. Is it something to be concerned about? No. I haven't read anything that one should be concerned about the timing valve variator clatter on your M278. I'm going to let it ride. I don't think it's going to be an issue that would raise its ugly head well before 125 to 150,000 miles. Then again, I'm not a mechanic. I'm just a pilot. I fly them. I don't build them, and I don't fix them. So anyway, let's move forward. You saw me replace the window switch cluster on the driver's side. That part was $188.05, and of course replacing it was free. Just watch the video. Super easy fix. Now, I did carry out my threat to replace the Continental ATE disc brakes because they kept on getting hotspot bubbles on them with OE Brembo equivalents, and I've done that. I've got 5,000 to 6,000 miles on them, and so far, so good. The ATEs tended to get the hot spot bubbling a little bit farther in. So we're going to see how this all goes with the Brembos. I'll report back to you. Oil change, had a basic simple oil change done, and then a brake fluid flush. All that ran me $2,009.89. Then a few months later, I had my spark plugs replaced as Rentec, the folks up at Rentec said, yeah, you know, the M278 with its direct injection can foul up spark plugs pretty easily. They recommended every 40,000 miles. And whereas I give Rentec oodles of credence, when they pulled the spark plugs out, they were mildly carbonized, very mild. So I think it could have been in there maybe another 20,000 miles, but this at least now gives me new spark plugs for the next 50,000 miles. After that, oh yeah, I had my big battery changed. They walked into the service lobby and said, Mr. Cleveland, you should probably have your big battery changed. It's showing low voltage. So I went along with that. So the spark plug replacement and the big battery change set me back $1,032.12. A few months later, I had a regular oil change. Now after that, some knucklehead at Costco at the fuel pumps while I was pumping fuel outside of my car cut the turn too early as he was leaving his pump in front of my car and whacked my carbon fiber splitter and also gashed my paint. That ran me, well, that didn't run me, it ran him $2,100. Compensated by his insurance company. Now, the RW carbon fiber splitter that I have on there is no longer available at RW Carbon. I had to source it from another company. I'm going to put the link in the description below, and quite frankly, that carbon fiber splitter, even though $100 less, is just as good as the RW Carbon splitter. So yeah, $2,100 written off, paid by insurance. Now, I came back from a 16-day trip, and when I started my car the next morning, I got this annunciation.
Come on, do something
yes,
already.
we know it. We fear it. and it's in the mail if your car is 9 to 10 years old. So yeah, I got a annunciation that my car was, I should wait while my car rises. And this was an indication that somewhere in my air-matic suspension, there was a leak. Now, when I went to the dealership, they told me, hey, don't panic. This could just be a little box that has a bunch of valves. And those valves are like check valves, which will close when you turn your car off and you leave. What is this, a Ford Pinto? It's like, are we still doing this to start and stop cars these days? Shows you my age. Anyway, these check valves will all go into place to make sure that your airbags remain semi-inflated. And it could be one of those check valves that's not closing all the way. I'm like, yeah, I don't buy it. I buy that unit exists, but my car is now 10 and a half years old. So I didn't necessarily want Mercedes-Benz, the dealer, to fix it because of the costs involved in dealership maintenance. So what I did was I immediately made an appointment at an independent dealership. I knew this was going to be a lot of talking, so water's on the standby. I went to an independent dealer or mechanic, and they made sure that I was in there immediately to make sure that my air pump didn't fail. And if you keep this car running around with a leak in it, sure, it's going to rise and it will stay at the prescribed height. However, the air pump is going to be working double time to make sure that happens, and your air pump will eventually burn out if you don't get the leak fixed immediately. In my haste, I didn't ask him how much it was going to cost. So this Indy place, they charged me $3,584.30, the exact amount that the Mercedes-Benz dealership quoted me. So although I did save my air pump, I still wound up paying dealership costs with this guy. However, while I was in there, I had him assess what kind of clunking I was constantly hearing coming from my front suspension whenever I would go over small bumps. This would include like even the graphics like PED Xing and right turn only, left turn only, and very small cobblestones or ripples in the pavement. I would constantly hear this. I'm like, what the heck could that be? Could that be like my upper and lower ball joints? And so he let me know that what was wearing were my left and right front axle shafts. And also, by the way, you have sway bar links in the back of your car that are also wearing. So given that he kind of burned me on that repair cost, I went elsewhere. Now he quoted me $2,500 to fix these, and through a lot of wrangling, including like, oh, I'll give you a free oil change. I'm like, bro, I don't need my oil changed. No, I need a big discount on the service. I ultimately left and found a very cool Australian, again an Aussie, that's running his indie shop in Boca Raton, Florida. And he was able to get this job done, the replacement of the left and right front axle shafts and the sway bar links for just over $2,000, $2,075.81. Now, knowing that my vehicle is aging, as is if you're watching this video, probably yours too, I went out and got a quote from this Aussie gentleman as well as from Mercedes-Benz. So Mercedes-Benz, the dealership, quoted me $4,500 to change the front struts. As honest as he is, and he showed me all of the parts savings and things like that, the Aussie guy quoted me $4,000. And that's as low as he could possibly get it. And he explained why. Now this would be with R-knot bladders. And he even said, with confidence, he said, well, R-knot is Continental. I'm like, God, don't mention Continental. I've already gotten rid of Continental tires and Continental discs. I've also heard that once you put the R-knot bladders into the sleeves, into the air-matic sleeves, that the ride is not the same. Is that just BS? Is that psychosomatic? Or what have you guys experienced? I want those people who have changed their bladders or their struts, either to the R-knots or to the factory rebuilds, because factory rebuild is $4,500, or to the coilovers. Please leave a comment. let us know what you've done, what your experiences has been with it, and how much it costs. So getting near the end here, yeah, please leave comments on what your have you guys had this left and right front axle shafts wear? I mean, my car is now at 66,000 miles. So I did the initial review at 53,000 miles, and I put another 13,000 miles on it. It didn't seem to me like the front axle shafts should wear or really need replacement if you don't want clunking noises the whole time at 66,000 miles. So let me know what your experience has been with your front assembly, your upper and lower controlling arms, but more specifically, this left and right front axle shafts. Outside of that, I think, yep, I've moved on to my adios message, and that adios message is, I think it would be super cool, because I know that I see a lot of CLSs down here, and God knows who's watching my videos. But I think it would be super cool to have a South Florida CLS meetup group at some point in time in the future. I'm thinking probably Broward County, because we've got Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County that's kind of like centrally located. And now I don't want to exclude like Lee County, the Fort Myers and Naples area. If you feel like coming, come on over. But I want you to let me know what your intent would be by just typing in the comment section RSVP Dade, RSVP Palm Beach, or hey, I live up in Jacksonville, but I know who's going to come. Who's going to come is the guy that did the race video with me, although he probably doesn't know that he's coming yet. But I know that he'd probably come, and he lives over in Bradenton. So leave that RSVP, what county you're from, and then turn your notifications on, because my next video, unless I have some calamity happen to my car, my next video will be announcing when and where this CLS meetup will be, C218 CLS meetup will be. I think that would be a hoot. So aside from that, I think I'm just going to leave you with, putting safety first doesn't mean you have to have a boring ride experience. Keep the blue side up. See you on the road.